my friends, I'm Russ Larson and I'm the IRC Tire Guy. Today, we continue our adaptability episodes as I pursue being the most well-rounded rider I can be and show you guys what I've learned along the way. This week's technique breakdown is on hard pack corners. Now, I'd say the average off-road rider will probably encounter more hard pack flat corners than rutted corners. Most of the time on single track trails or desert riding, we'll see a flat open line compared to a single rut. Of course, training on a rutted turn track is an awesome way to gain speed and confidence, but something I rarely see is that same practice being done in hard pack situations. How often do we ride hard pack turn track? It's definitely not the most fun form of training, but it will pay dividends in your hard pack confidence. In fact, we've seen Billy Bull actually out riding and racing flat track. No wonder he's already one of the most adaptable riders in history. Now, we did a rutted corner technique video, which you can check out right here. That's a great starting point for your cornering form. However, in a lot of ways, hard pack corners require a totally opposite technique approach. So let's get into it. As I've mentioned before, rutted corners require a sort of separated approach. We brake early, stand longer and deeper into the corner. We also would accelerate slightly later compared to hard pack. Plain and simple, hard pack technique is a controlled dance of braking traction. Because we're essentially walking that tightrope of sliding or drifting around the corner, the technique is far different than our rutted corner approach. When we're held by a solid rut, we can stay in line with the lean angle of the bike. The deeper the rut, the more horizontal we can move in line with the machine, the centripetal forces making us stick to the corner. In hard pack situations, because there's no banking or rut for us to horizontally stick to, this completely changes not only our body position on the machine during the corner itself, but our deceleration and acceleration on entry and exit. So due to the varying techniques, we'll start from the top. On the approach of a hard pack corner, instead of starting with braking, we have to first talk a bit about line choice. When riding hard pack, we aren't tied to a rut. The only parameters are that of the corner itself. For that reason, the goal should always be the fast line. The easy tip to remember when choosing a line for your hard pack corner is aim for the apex. Of course, this is a road racing technique. Now, we can get really complicated when talking about the apex, especially as the corner becomes more than 90 degrees or we begin to string multiple corners together. But for now, just remember aim for the apex. Outside, inside, outside. Maximize your turning radius. Now that you're lined up and aiming for the apex, let's break down each piece of the hard pack corner. Starting with deceleration and acceleration aspects, then we'll talk body position. The caveat of a hard pack corner is how early we want to initiate the turning itself. This is where we begin to differ so much to that of a rutted corner. Once we find our braking point and prepare for deceleration, we want to use that same no clutch braking we've practiced in past episodes. Although on a hard pack corner, I tend to initiate braking a bit later with a few adjustments. Now in a rutted corner, I use a pretty even braking pressure between front and rear, almost simultaneously as we set our speed for the corner. In hard pack at the braking point, before the turn itself, I use more front brake than rear initially. There's a few reasons for this. The first is the application of rear brake has to be initiated late in the corner to assist the rear tire as we start that slide or drift around the corner. At that sliding point, we also completely pull the clutch in to allow the rear tire to lock up without stalling. We're using the front brake as the majority of our braking force first. We can also have the goal in our braking technique to assist our initiation of the turn itself. The way we do this is by adding additional front brake, causing a forward force on the machine, creating a lighter rear tire and allowing the rear to step out early. As soon as we are a few feet before the corner itself, we pull the clutch in and maximize our rear brake input. This initiates a brief lock of the rear tire and slide as we begin to transition to acceleration. Now, one of the hardest parts about hard pack technique is the transition from sliding with the rear brake to drifting with the throttle. The earlier we can transition to a smooth acceleration drift, the more control we'll have over our drift. This is especially apparent when approaching a right-handed hardpack corner. Because our foot usually transitions off the rear brake and to the ground, we need to be comfortable with the acceleration drift via throttle. The importance of a steady, controlled throttle and clutch are imperative here. The goal is to hold the machine in a mid RPM, maintaining a tractable drift of the rear tire. Now, almost immediately, we see a change in body position during the entirety of a hard pack corner compared to a rutted corner. Our approach is more of an off-centered position. The input of lean angle is applied through the bars as we increase our front brake application. Because the machine itself has a slight lean angle, with the application of front and rear brake, this creates the stepping out drift or pitching of the rear tire to initiate the turn. With that machine lean angle, my torso is more balanced straight up and down, out of line with the angle of the bike. Notice how I hold a high outside elbow and an opposite turn angle press through the inside hand of the handlebar. Whether we remain standing or sit into the corner, this out of line approach is the same. Now, as our speed is decreasing, if the corner requires a seated position, we now begin the move to the front of the seat and tank. This allows for a light rear tire and to continue the drift. If we remain standing, which is mostly done in a 90-degree corner, we move forward, increasing the weight over the front tire. And notice the dropping of my outside heel. This outside peg weight maintains my control over the drift. Now, in a 180-degree corner, most of the time we drop to the seat, but I still focus on a heavy outside peg weight as well as a press into the outside tank shroud with my outside knee. Again, whether we are seated or standing, holding that off-center line with our torso as well as adding the addition of the heavy outside peg weight and press with our knee into the shroud allows for an increased stability and traction on the side knobs of the tire. I definitely recommend practicing hard pack corners both ways, seated and standing. Remaining standing through a 180-degree corner is exceptionally hard. Keeping your feet on the pegs while controlling a drift is a great practice of maximum control. Now, common problems we see in hard pack corners are either the bike standing up or sliding out. Often these problems arise from body position mistakes. That feeling of the bike catching traction or standing up is usually caused by an overlean in the direction of the corner. Often, riders treat hard pack corners like rutted corners. They stay in line with the lean angle of the bike. This causes the machine's tires to lose side knob traction, and usually we feel that slide out coming. A overcorrection in the opposing direction causes that grabby high side feeling. We can also overlean and move past the tractable area on the side knobs, causing us to slide out. Which brings me to an important part of hard pack corners, your tire selection. Now, often I use a Moto Cross front tire and a gummy hard enduro rear tire. Gummies tend to flex and roll slightly. That roll can cause a feeling of catching or standing up in a hard pack corner. The point is, tire selection is key in any form of riding, especially if you're learning a new technique. A hard pack Moto tire, like our VX40 rear, might work best here. Practicing hard pack corners is a great way to find the edge of your speed. Getting comfortable in situations most people don't practice will make all the difference when it matters. I hope you're enjoying our adaptability episodes where we learn how to become the most well-rounded rider possible. If you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as follow us on Instagram at IRC Moto and my personal Instagram page at RichLarson511. And until next time, keep shredding.